Hey, what's up, guys? Coming to you here with a live video, and I apologize for like the sun hitting my face and it's kind of coming through the trees. It's kind of early in the morning, or not early, but it is in the morning, and I don't really do live streams in the morning because I think most people are at work or getting to work or whatever. Anyway, but I've got an update on the Quincy compressor. Let me see if I can get this where it's in the background. And a lot of people asking about the paint booth, and I'll just pan around real quick, give you a quick little sneak preview of where it is, but I don't want to show you too much. What's up, Retro Weld and JC Smith? I'm gonna be right back. And if you're watching this on a live stream, it is a live stream, so it's gonna be messy. It's gonna be, me talking to the camera and talking to people. Cecil, what's up, buddy? Thought I'd just go get my coffee and sit here and drink it and talk to you guys and let you know what's going on with this air compressor back here. But anyway, I just gave a sneak peek of the hey Mike, of the paint booth, and it's still not done. I'm still working on it, but you can see the intake filter bank there. It's coming along. I'm just spending a few hours on it here and there when I have time, and some parts of it are just it's just time consuming working by yourself. If you had another hand, like holding up panels, getting them lined up, and all that, just to have somebody hold it while I screw them in. Just little things that I struggle with trying to get it, and anyway, I sound like I'm complaining. Hey Reed, it's early out there for you. 6 a.m. right, or 6:05 a.m. Hey, you guys do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button for me if you can, if you don't mind. So I've been up and going. I was working in the shop out in there, and my compressor kicked on. The Campbell Housefield went over there, and it's cooled off here in Texas. Now it's still warming up during the day. But yeah, I'm watching the stuff coming up. I'm gonna get to the compressor update here in a second, but I'm seeing the updates coming through with you guys online. Hopefully you can hear me okay with the traffic. I'm out back of the shop, and there's a lot more exposure to the road out here than other areas. But anyway, so I've been working off my old stand-up 80-gallon Campbell Housefield compressor, which I've mentioned in many videos has been really a great compressor. But it's things have cooled off in Dallas at night and in the mornings, and it's a lot of really cool humid mornings where you get a lot of the dew and just a lot of moisture in the air. And that compressor is spitting out a lot of water now, and because in the late summer it gets really dry. It's hot, 100 degrees, but it's super dry, so you don't really get a lot of moisture. And I've got one of those motor guard toilet paper style filters on it, and I swapped out the filter, and that did help some, but it's still wanting to spit out water. And when you're trying to paint stuff or run a plasma cutter, you don't really want any water. So anyway, hey guys, I see a lot of guys joining from different areas. Thomas from Scotland there. Anyway, so I was in the shop working there, and just kind of drilling a few holes in some metal art, stuff like that, and my compressor kicked on. It just made me think to come give you an update. I thought I'd just do it on a live stream. I know some people might be watching this on a replay, but anyway, I think it's been about 3, maybe even 4 weeks since this thing stopped building pressure. And it comes on, right? It comes on and runs with no problem. And I'll say that the motor starter in this thing, or the starting capacitor on it, or whatever, is one of the softest starting big machine motors I've got here, because that little Campbell Houseful motor, when it kicks on, the lights dim in the shop, and I've got 400 amps of service here, and you know, I think these guys did a really good job of they knew I was going to be running big equipment, and you know, the lines that they pulled to the different locations, even the sub panels and all that, they pulled bigger lines than, you know, what you would normally think you would need, like you know, like for 30 amp breakers on 220s, they pulled number 8s, you know, and things like that. So, but that little Campbell Housefield, I don't know if it's just the starting capacitor on the motor, but when it starts up, the whole light's dim in the shop. When this one starts, you heard it start there, it's a really soft, quiet start, even though it's a lot more powerful than that one. But anyway, so it's been 4 weeks since this thing stopped building pressure. I mean, it comes on and runs, it just won't make any pressure. And right, yeah, JC, yeah, exactly. But I'm just saying that when they factor in the length of the run and the amperage of the circuit, they would go one less than what you would calculate that you would need for that length of run times the capacity that you need. Anyway, so I see some comments coming through there, Craig. I'm just kind of looking. Sorry about the pausing. I'm gonna get the story out. I know some of you are like, hey, would you hurry up and tell us what's going on with that compressor? So anyway, so it's been 4 weeks, and you know, initially there was, you know, some guy, you know, put the thought in my head that I've actually caused this issue. You know, and it's still kind of unknown what was wrong with it, but it sounds like it's bleeding pressure off, you know, and this thing has protection built into it where it's protected from coming on no more than 4 times an hour. And the way that they do that is by, when it does come on, they force it to run for 15 minutes at a minimum. So it'll come on, it'll build up to, you know, 120 psi, and then there's some valves and solenoids in there that opens up, allow the compressor to keep running in a no load mode, so it just bleeds off the pressure, because these rotaries don't like to come on and off all day. They're meant to be a continuous duty. I've mentioned this before in videos. So you can hear when it's bleeding off the pressure and not putting it in the tank, you can hear it when you're up close to it. It's got a different sound to it. And so I thought for sure that was going to be what was wrong with it. And the first guy that came out, I wasn't here when he came. You know, he didn't show up when he was supposed to. And when he came, I was in town getting steel. He called me and I said, hey, you know, it's around back. Go ahead and start looking at it. And I will be back there in about 45 minutes. And well, by the time I got here, he was gone. But he did call me and goes, man, I got bad news for you. It's the pump. And I took a sample of the oil and I'm going to get a pump ordered for you. Well, again, that's been 3 weeks ago. So been 4 weeks ago that it went down, took a week to get them out. It's been 3 weeks. And every couple of days, I've been calling him. The first couple of times I called the tech and he said, okay, let me get an update on the parts. Well, he never would call me back. So, you know, I'm busy, I'm doing stuff. This other compressor is doing fine. You know, there's no issue. So I'm not thinking too much about it, but in the back of my mind, I am kind of worried about it. So you know, like twice a week, I just call. And so last Friday, I called again, but I called to the corporate, or to the office, to the dispatcher, left her a message, and she never called me back, which has been the case. You know, I can't tell you how many unreturned phone calls. It's frankly embarrassing. I could not imagine being in business not returning people's phone calls, you know, and especially customers. And I know sometimes maybe my customers, you know, maybe occasionally I'll go an extra couple of days or whatever, and maybe I'll commit something, and you know, and say, hey, I'm going to ship this out by this day. Well, stuff happens, and it's ended up being 2-3 more days before I ship it out. But I stay on it. You know, I don't just let it go and wait for them to have to hassle me. I stay on it, and you know, if I can, I'll give them an update and say, hey, I didn't get it shipped out. Sometimes I do that, sometimes I don't. But no more than a few days goes by that I don't get on it and get something done. And you know, I think that's what most people expect. You know, if you're in business and you're doing stuff, you know, things are going to happen. Techs are running around in the field, things are going to get delayed. I understand it. But anyway, so I called last Friday, left a message, no phone call. So yesterday I'm here in the shop working, and I get a guy, Jeff, calling me from Quincy Compressor going, hey, you know, I'm here at your shop. And I thought it was the same tech. It sounded like him, you know, and I'm like, awesome. He didn't give me any kind of update. He didn't say what he was coming for. He goes, you know, I'm here at your shop. Now, where are you at again? And, you know, what, you know, how do I get there? And whatever. So I'm thinking he's got the pump. He's coming to replace it. So when he gets here, he goes, all right, where's your compressor at? I'm like, well, you got the pump? And he goes, no, I'm here to diagnose it. I was like, you're not the guy that came before? He goes, no, that wasn't me. This is my first time. And I'm like, well, I have a ticket open. There's already been somebody come out and diagnose it, and it's supposed to be the pump. So I figured you were here with parts. He was like, well, who was it? You know, who was the guy? And hey, what's up, Captain K, man? So he was like, do you have the guy's name? I was like, I can't remember his name. He goes, you have his number. So I started looking through my phone, and I gave him a couple of numbers, and he was punching into his phone to see if it would pull up in the contacts. And it wasn't, because I get a lot of calls just, you know, from random people, from customers, whatever, a lot of local numbers and things. So I went back a little further and found one. He goes, oh yeah, this guy's been fired. And he had something like 60 tickets open when he got fired. And we've been trying to, you know, parse through them, figure out which ones have been served, which ones hadn't. And no parts are ever ordered for it, is the bottom line. And so kind of starting back over. The good news about it is this tech comes out and goes, it's likely the inlet valve. Those go out all the time on these, and you know, not all the time, but they go out on a regular basis. And so he took the panels off of it and started looking at it. He goes, I'm pretty sure it's going to be an inlet valve. I'm going to get one ordered for you, and you know, I'll get it in later this week and get back down here. So, you know, for years, and when I was in information technology, I was a tech service manager, meaning, you know, they don't really have this as much now, but back in the, you know, mid 90s when PCs were, you know, kind of coming along, you know, the major manufacturers of PCs, this was kind of before Dell made their rise, were, you know, IBM, Hewlett-Packard, and Compaq. Those were the main three. And I worked for a reseller, and we sold all that stuff, and we had a service team. We had techs all over the place, and I managed that. And you could always tell when you had a tech that was guessing or didn't know what he was doing, when, you know, his big thing was he'd come back and order either A, 4 or 5 different parts in the machine, or B, order the motherboard. I mean, I was like, you know, the number one diagnosis, it's going to be the motherboard. And you know, and so that's kind of what this guy did. He came in and looked at it, didn't probably do any diagnosis. I wasn't here. And oh, Tom Zelikman, hey, good to see you there. So, and you just knew that you had a tech that was not doing good work when they would come back and just throw a bunch of parts at a machine. And clearly this guy got fired for a reason. So anyway, this whole thing about this compressor being down has not been an issue until the last 2 days, when I started getting, you know, when the weather changed here in Dallas, we started getting the cool, denser, moister air. Actually, it's kind of the opposite, isn't it? Anyway, whatever it is, moisture in the air. Sometimes I just kind of talk when I don't really even know what I'm talking about. I just throw things out, and it's like, wait a minute, that's not right. You just, you know, conflicted yourself. Anyway, so I got ready to paint some stuff yesterday, and one of the fittings leading into my paint gun was a little bit loose, and it had been leaking a little bit of air, which, you know, is not a big deal. But now that there's a lot of water in the lines, moisture was coming out. And if you're painting over a piece and you got water dropping onto your fresh paint, and this is not waterborne paint, it's solvent based, yeah, it doesn't do well. It causes an issue. And same thing with the plasma cutter. I noticed that it was blowing holes and stuff and really not making a nice fine cut. And so I got a lot of moisture coming through my lines, even though I've got, again, the Motor Guard toilet paper style filters in there, which normally do a good job. So I changed the filter and it was just completely saturated, and it took a little bit for the lines to get the air cleared through them. But so that was 2 days ago, and then now I got moisture back in the lines again, so it already needs another filter. But that's where this guy, not so much the rotary aspect of it, but having the built-in dryer makes a big difference. So I miss it for that reason. I want to get it back. And then also I did a sneak peek a minute ago, I'll show you again. But the paint booth is kind of getting to the point. I'm working on the electrical now, while I still have some of the access to the outside panels that I don't have on the other side. And I need to get my air lines ran over, and I want to plumb it into this compressor, but I couldn't plumb it in right now to that compressor because it's not running. I probably need to have a way to have a valve that I can open and divert it to one or the other. So if once I plumb air in there, if this one were to go down again, I can switch it over and paint off the other one. But I'm not sure, because in the shop I have why am I in need of a cell booster? I'm outside. I should be. Hopefully I'm coming through loud and clear. You guys can hear me okay, right? See me fine? Or JC Smith, I've got those. I'll show you real quick on the lines. Oh, okay. Yeah, I definitely need one inside. But again, it really only comes into play when I'm making live videos. Normally I'm filming videos in there, and you don't need to have good cell coverage to film on a phone or a regular DSLR or GoPro or whatever I'm using. But JC Smith asked about the airlines. Some of you guys have been following since I started this project, so what I have and how I have it plumbed. But the one thing some guys have pointed out is, let me just show you here on this. So I don't know how much light is back here, but you can see I got a flex hose connected to the actual building, and then it's hard lines all the way around to the drops. And this is the rapid air setup with the 3/4 inch. It's aluminum with Teflon or something, Teflon coated aluminum, and I think they're rated to 350 psi. So it doesn't have a real high rating, but the nice thing about it is it's fairly flexible. You can bend it and mold it and move it, and they've got all these fittings and things and different blocks that you can put in different areas to get how you want it. And I have the same thing in here as well. So I've got flex lines coming off the compressors to the building, and then it's kind of rigidly attached all the way through. And all those lines were ran into the shop before the spray foam was done, so they're all encapsulated up into the spray foam on the inside. Well, some areas of it, at least the rough plumbed areas, are. I'll show you. Probably can show you a little bit here. You can see where it comes in there and snakes its way around and over. You can see the Motor Guard filter, even though I don't really need that with the dryer, but you probably can see that way over there, the Motor Guard filter over there by the plasma table. So I've got Motor Guard filters at every drop. Somebody just asked how much did it cost. Anyway, I don't know what was that question again? Somebody asked what something cost, and I didn't see it. If you're asking about the air compressor or the lines or whatever. But those rapid air lines, I bought a spool of it in a kit with a bunch of fittings, and I think it had 100. All right, Craig, I'll see you later. I think it had 100 feet plus a whole bunch of different fittings and end drops and things. And I want to say that it was 200 or 300 for each one, and I bought 2 of them, and I have a lot of it left. And the reason I have bought so much was that I didn't know where all I was going to end up wanting airlines, and I knew at some point I would need more, you know, just depending on how things go and whatever. I knew I would end up needing more. And so, you know, here I've got to run airlines down to the paint booth there. So when I get ready for that, I've got some, and I've got lots of fittings and all. I have everything I need to do it. And I've just been storing the leftover stuff out in the barn. So anyway, guys, I just thought I'd give you an update on that. So hopefully later this week he'll be back with that inlet valve. So there's a solenoid and an inlet valve, and it could be one or both of them, likely the inlet valve. It still could be the pump, possibly, I don't know. But the good thing is he didn't say anything about the warranty or anything about that. Travis asking about the spider update. Yeah. I'll walk around and show you the spider here in a minute before I disconnect. And Tom, yeah, I did 1/2 inch. I did I'm sure I did the 3/4 inch main feed on that you saw there, and then if you see that hose reel, I've got 2 of those, and those are actually 1/2 inch hose reels that are 50 feet. And those were expensive right there. I can't remember how much they were, but it's got that real heavy duty rubber, you know, Goodyear hose on it, and with 1/2 inch hose and fittings. So it's 3/4 to 1/2 inch, and then I have 1 3/8 inch hose reel in there as well. You know, so the thought was your main plumbing going around, you got a 1/2 inch or 3/4 inch volume of air, and then your drops are either 1/2 or 3/8 coming off of that. And I have no hard 90s in it anywhere. Everything is just that, you know, that flex hose, and where I had to, you know, make a bend to go down a wall or whatever, I just left a soft bend there. And but I'll say this, the 1/2 inch is overkill on the hose reels. I didn't need that. I don't know why. I just thought, you know, hey, I'm doing this, so I might as well get the most volume I can, you know, for just your basic air tools and all that. Now, if you were running, you know, some kind of a big setup where you needed a lot of air volume, that 1/2 inch might come into place, you know, a big impact gun or something. But and frankly, those big rubber hoses, the 1/2 inch, they're bulky and they're heavy, and they, you know, so if you're sitting there with a little small angle grinder just grinding on something, and you got that big bulky heavy 1/2 inch hose hanging off of it, it's those little green Godzilla or whatever they call it, Flowzilla hoses that you can buy everywhere now, eBay and stuff. They're super light, they're 3/8 with a nice quick connect fitting on it. Man, that's the way to go. Those big heavy duty Goodyear rubber hoses, it's too much. It's one of the reasons why I have the tendonitis in my elbow. It's likely one of the reasons for sure. Although it's in my left elbow and I always use my right hand. So see, there I go again, just saying stuff that I can't really back up, you know, just kind of whatever. It's something about a fabricator that wants to embellish, right? You make something that's kind of cool, and you're like, wow, that's really cool. You know, I don't know what it is about us that makes me do that, or maybe it's just me, I don't know. Yeah, that's a good point, Reed. Sandblaster definitely takes a lot of air volume, almost as much as you can give it, right? Because it's a suction-based thing, based on how much volume's coming through. So somebody asked a minute ago what something cost. Who was that, and what was your question? If you want to repeat it, I'll try to answer it. I'll keep looking here for a second. And then Travis asked about the spotter. We'll walk around and take a look. We'll take a look at that. I think you guys might have saw some videos about the Acer. Travis, did Patrick step in and Acer Sarah? What in the world? These guys from South Texas, man, they speak a different language down there. Anyway, let's go look at the spotter and see what we got. But oh, the Rapid Airlines. Okay, yeah, I think those were. It was 100 feet of the 3/4 inch and a bunch of different fittings. I don't remember all the details of it, and I want to say it was in between 200 and 300. Bill De La Vega, it's early out there in your time, 6:30 almost. But you see I got the door open here to the shop. These cool mornings have just been awesome, but you see the windshield of my truck, it's all fogged over. There's dew all over the grass. So it's that moisture in the air, you know, that compressor in there running, sucking that in. So I had all this taken down for a while. I didn't have any painting to do, but now I got paint. I was thinking I might be able to get, I was thinking I might be able to get my booth finished enough to get my next wave of paint projects in the booth, but yeah, it's not quite there yet. Travis asked about the spotter, man. This thing is just growing like crazy. I mean, he's just hovering around there, and I don't know if you guys can see this or not, but and the way I have the phone, I can't see it when I put it up there, so I don't know if I'm showing it to you right, so I'll just kind of move it around. But if you see those, he's got a bunch of stuff. Whoops, I grabbed his web there. He's like, hey, it's early in the morning, what are you doing waking me up? He's got a bunch of stuff cocooned up in there. I don't really know what all. Oh, is that what it is? Babies? Okay. And then I don't know if you've ever seen any spider poop before, but check it out down here. That sucker drops a lot of stuff out. So it comes out in the form of black or white. Anyway, I got a few supplies here to do. Oh, hey, while I got you guys, let me ask you something here real quick. So you know, I've got on the paint booth, I've got the purlins that are the main joists. And I need to put a ceiling in there, and so I was just going to use some plywood, and those purlins are 34 inches apart, so they don't really work out to get a good fit up with, you know, 4x8 sheets of plywood. So I went and bought this 1x3 strapping, or lath, I guess they call it, or whatever. So would you do those 24 inches apart, the lathing? And what thickness of plywood would I need to go into the ceiling? Hey, what's up, old school? I'll see you, Tom. Have a good one. Thanks for joining, man. Nobody gonna answer my question? All right. Well, if you 16 inches on center. Okay. And what thickness of plywood do I need up there? Half inch. Okay. That's kind of what I was thinking. 3/8 or half inch. You know, I was thinking possibly going 3/4 and screwing directly to the purlins, but again, yeah, I thought about going the steel sheet as well, just like the, you know, the same stuff I got on the building there. I mean, I could definitely do that, and frankly, that would be easier for me, you know, because trying to lift full sheets of plywood up there is a big deal, you know, and trying to lift those sheets up there, it still would be, you know, a little bit clumsy, but it's doable. Doing a 3/4 inch sheet of plywood up above my head, I'd need some help or need some kind of a lift or something. Well, I was gonna paint the plywood white. Okay, drywall jack. Yeah, I was thinking about. I've never seen a drywall jack, but I would assume that there is something like that. I just, you know, I don't know anything about it. The other thing I want to do is I want to right, if I do the steel sheets, I definitely don't need the nailers, you know, for sure. Harbor Freight drywall jack. Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, I think you guys are probably convincing me into doing the steel panels. Here's the only reason I didn't want to do the steel panels is because I need to seal it up, and so I may end up putting these nailers up anyway, so I can put plastic up there, because I want it sealed airtight so that the exhaust fan, you know, doesn't find any leaks through the seams of the steel panels and pull air through that instead of through the filter bank. And oh no, I'm not doing spray foam. I don't have any money for that. I'm on a budget here. I don't really have much more money to spend, so yeah, steel panels could definitely sweat, and they do, you know. Before I got the spray foam put in here, this whole building sweated like crazy, but once the spray foam went in, it didn't sweat. But and that would really suck for trying to do paint work, you know, and having your building sitting here sweating and dropping into your paint while you're trying to paint. But if I put insulation up there and put plastic up first and then the steel, would that keep it from sweating? I was thinking about doing the foam board insulation, but maybe the batting would be better. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of why I was at plywood to begin with. Was part of it was I just wanted it smooth. Part of it was it'd be really easy for me to caulk between all the seams on the plywood, and you know, plywood's pretty stable, it doesn't move a lot, so that would let me seal it all up good. Having the steel panels in there, you know, around the screw holes, although those do seal up pretty good, your seams, you know, and I can get the stuff that you put between the seams to cause it to be airtight. You know, I don't know, maybe I'm getting too crazy, but what I don't want is, you know, the suction of the exhaust fan pulling stuff in from the ceiling, you know, and pulling it through and causing it to drop into my paint. You know, one of my whole goals was to get this thing sealed up as tight as I can. And maybe I can just come back and caulk the steel, you know, and caulk everywhere that all right, I'm just looking at the comments coming through. So Anyway, it doesn't seem like there's a real conclusion on that. I need to come up with something, and maybe I'll just do plastic up there with insulation. I did buy a roll of let's see, I think it was 3 mil. I don't have it over here now. I thought I had a roll of some white, pretty heavy plastic. I think it might have been 4 mil. So I could put plastic up there with insulation, but plastic would probably sweat as well, I would think, huh? Hey, Mike Wilson, could you put your comment in there? Just copy pasted it again. I missed it coming up and I accidentally deleted it. Too much static with plastic. Yeah, that's a great thought. Well, so it's either, so I mean, the steel panel would definitely be easier and save me a lot of work on putting these nailer, the strapping stuff up there. And it's light, it's easy to put up, and maybe if I put plastic above it and if I put plastic up there and in insulation, maybe it would not sweat. I have plastic on the walls. Right, Hansen, I know the plywood would definitely be better, so. Think long term? In what way? I'm having a hard time following the comments. They're coming up so quick. So, and I don't have my laptop out here. I can't really see what you guys are saying too much. If they stay on the screen, I can see them. But anyway, it sounds like, you know, kind of my choices are really wood or metal. And if I go metal, I need to do something to prevent the plastic. You know, I need to do something to prevent the sweating and moisture. I am going to put an AC in there, you know, and when I know it's going to be humid, I could just, even when it's cold weather, I could just run the AC to pull the moisture out of the air, right, and keep it from sweating. Hey, Russ. I guess if it sweats, I'll just have to come out here and get a mop and just mop the ceiling right above where I'm painting at, you know. That's about all I can think of before I paint. Antiperspirant on the panels. Okay, yeah. All right, Cecil, I'll go ahead and do that. Well, I don't think I'm going to have any rust on these kind of panels here because, you know, they've got that coating on them and they stay outside and get wet all the time. So I don't think that's going to be an issue. All right, so I definitely need insulation up there. So if I do insulation, and then plastic after that, and then steel after that, that should keep it from, and it should be fairly, I don't know. I need to think about it, guys. It's something I haven't really thought through very well. I just, you know, it's one of those things where I probably should have thought through it more, but I just start building and then, you know, make decisions as I go. All right, it's been 40 minutes. This is a long live stream, and the main thing was just to give you guys an update on the compressor. So I'm still here working on stuff in the shop. Got a lot of projects going on. About half the projects I'm doing right now are for free for people, family. But that's how it goes sometimes. Any other questions for me? All right, guys. Well, you have a good one, and I will see you soon.